All right, so just thinking, I'm going to turn the tables on you here for Tim. So if you think about, you're talking to him as a prospect, so whether it's him as SDR or as a rep, what would you say is special about the culture? And as you have these younger top talent folks kind of looking at Hammerspace versus other companies, why would you say, Tim, hey, here's why Hammerspace is a great opportunity?
Yeah, I mean, one, we're going to be scaling, our company. The hope is to grow to hundreds of people over the next 3 years. And I've been in Tim's shoes early on, and it's your ability to get your foot in the door, prove that you're a builder, you're a hard worker, and you're able to be successful and clearly articulate and from a sales perspective. And then from there, it's how do we get you out to be into a different sales role, whether it's via alliances or partners or out managing an entire territory or several accounts. So huge idea, huge proponent of building from within, because I think everyone comes in and puts the blood, sweat, and tears in, and you deserve a shot at scaling with the organization.
Great. There you go. Well said for sure. So within your current capacity, you have sales, customer success, don't have marketing, right?
Correct.
So I assume that you and Molly have a great relationship, and it's not one of those things where, not that you're going to say anything different on air, but yeah, I mean, a lot of times you have the sales leader say, geez, marketing's spending their money on stupid stuff. It seems like you guys are aligned well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, as she came on board, we did focus on high level messaging, as we were evolving on what problems we solve. And now we're starting to do some account based, as we expand our verticals and move to different verticals, we're doing some account based marketing. And really, as we get funding, we'll start to develop a very streamlined lead generation process.
Awesome. And then talk maybe a little bit about kind of what your customer success group is.
Yeah. So today it's our organization. We're not really in that renewal stage yet. I mean, we have maybe tens of renewals, so we're able to manage them pretty good. Most of it's more on the implementation to make sure that we're getting customers that have gone through the POC stage, getting them implemented into production, and then make sure they're happy. So that's something that will also start to grow as we move into early 2023.
That's great. What about the importance of value selling in terms of kind of what you and your sales team does? And if you're in the elevator with the CFO and you have kind of 15 seconds, what are you going to say?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to really talk about, hey, do you have problems of data gravity? Are you trying to share applications globally and to accelerate your business or time to market? And that's really kind of what Hammerspace does. I mean, we've seen many of our customers kind of reduce time to market, enable them to go out and get further investments, enable them to go out and win more projects, based on or actually even shorten time to solve, some of the world's problems that we have, health problems that we have today.
Oh, that's awesome. So kind of value selling is something that's kind of vital to what Hammerspace does and how you do it.
Yeah, it's not about the technology. It's about the problems and the use cases that we're solving for.
And do you have any kind of tools that you use, or you just kind of have it in your kind of messaging that people are trained at being more veterans to be able to do that?
Yeah, we're developed a lot of internal and partner and technology partner training. We've developed some internal content around how to sell Hammerspace, and it's really about enablement. It's a lot what we talk about. We spend time on a weekly basis, talking about how we're solving specific customers' problems, and we're diving into that.
Oh. What about you've worked with and for some great folks. What about some sales leaders that you respect, and why?
Yeah, so I guess one is my dad. So he has a long history of sales. So I learned a lot from him in the early days. He probably taught me the importance of hard work. We talked about SDK or Don McKendrick, Randy. I mean, I learned a lot from you. You've been a great role model for me. You showed me how to build networks and relationships across a broad set of companies. And I think this community, you got to show that. Kevin O'Keefe is a guy I use as a sounding board. SalesPath Plus, plug there, Randy. Sorry, but
that's great. No, it's all good. Love Kevin.
Yes, new company starting off. We're just starting to use it, so check it out. Yeah, Kevin's a guy. And then we talked about Ed Walsh and John Ash in the startup world, and then Avir. I owe a lot to those guys, so like Ron Bianchini, John Dean, and Mike McMahon. So okay. Sorry if I missed anybody, but that's just kind of off the top of my head.
No, that's awesome for sure. What about sales tools that you use? And it's been amazing, right? You think back 10 years ago, we had, Salesforce and LinkedIn was a big deal. Now there's, kind of hundreds or thousands.
Yeah, I wish I had more budget for this right now as where we are from a startup perspective. But, I look at there's a lot of great tools on the market. So, I mean, we were just kind of give you an idea where we are. We're just moving from HubSpot to Salesforce. We've also added SalesPath Plus, which is what I mentioned with Kevin. And really, that's kind of a real-time kind of sales process. If you remember back in the day where we would go in and like, hey, how are we going to put this sales plan in place? And we put it on a whiteboard and then we walk away and we might take a picture of it now. But this is what SalesPath Plus does for you. Then we're using Sendosa, and then there's a couple other.
Sendosa's for gifting.
Yes, for gifting. Yep. And then we're just starting off Sales That Scales, which is an email outreach. As a startup, it's really important. It's hard to just cold call into customers because they're not in their offices. So how do we get the proper value messaging in front of these customers? So email and social media have become probably more important since COVID.
Yeah, and it's amazing too. More and more, a lot of junk. If you're using cold outreach from your primary domain, you're getting put in jail, and more and more going to junk. So I even heard today or a couple of weeks ago, if you put a link in your email, it gets sent to junk for a lot of companies. So yeah, I've heard Sales That Scales does a great job with that. So
yeah, I'm excited to start with them starting next week.
Check it out. And then we have actually our sponsor Outreach. So I think you've never actually used it, but I think you've been on some webinars that we've hosted with them, right?
Yeah, actually, I actually probably one of the ones I took a lot of notes on. I think it was back in the spring. So I learned a lot from that one. It was the 4-minute and the 7 bullet points. So I think a lot about that on a daily basis.
Oh, that's great. What about any mentors that you've had, kind of in advice that you've received?
Yeah, I mean, it's really about building relationships. I mean, at the end of the day, whether it's relationships internally, and I think or externally with customers, those last a lifetime. Whether it's this company or 10 years from now. Randy, you and I haven't worked together in many years, but we always find ways to keep in touch. Communication, I think, is another important. To let people know where they stand and what your thoughts are. And so those are, and then also just keep building your network and keep learning. I mean, since this is something I'm always on, always looking at sales community and different products that come out. So you can learn and might be able to either take their product or just take a variation of it.
Great. So here, I'm going to put you on the spot. What would be any advice that you would give to your younger self?
Jeez. I've taken a lot of chances. So, in the startup world, sometimes I probably should have stayed a little longer. Like I probably should have stayed a little longer at Azure and let their stock price continue to climb like it did after I left. But I'm always hungry to be in the middle of the of the startup world. It's just something I like because there's a lot of different components to what I do every day.
Yeah, it's always hard, right? Because the grass, you say that grass may or may not be always greener on the other side, right?
Yeah, and I've had a couple good ones, so so which is you want more of that.
Awesome. All right. Anybody that is listening in, if you want to chime in with any other questions or comments, feel free. We have a few more minutes left here. So what advice would you give yourself now as a CRO, different from maybe if you go back, kind of a few companies ago from mistakes that you've made there?
Yeah, I think it was probably more as I was onboarding with some of these companies, is just to have be more direct and ask some harder questions, as I was during the interview process. So definitely, it's customers. Where do you see the company going? I think you should talk about compensation, well before you come on board.
Yeah, definitely vital there. So with Hammerspace, are there any kind of big ass goals?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to continue to double and triple. I mean, we're up over 50 customers today. And, I think our goal is to hit 100 plus customers by the end of the year. And, we're actually in the we have some key applications with a lot of our customers, or critical applications where a lot of our customers are using Hammerspace today. So it's pretty amazing at this stage of the impact we're having with many of our customers.
Awesome. And maybe lastly, any tips for just sales success? So whether it's your sales team or others, you've already kind of talked about the relationship side of things. If there's 2 or 3 nuggets that you would share, I do that weekly post. I might be old school, but there's lots of things that I think that we all used to do in our sleep that seems to have kind of fallen by the wayside.
Yeah, no, that's actually pretty good. So one of the ones I like is, you should have at any point, when you're 6 to 8 months into your new sales job, you should have 16 to 20 opportunities, and 4 to 6 of those should be at the various points of the POC stage, and you should be touching 5 partners a week. So and even 5 customers a week. So if you're doing that, you're a very successful salesperson.
That's great. So just, in summary, just sales calls, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's amazing, right? So it's not email, it's not social outreach, it's actually sales calls. Yes. Agreed. It's a new concept.
Isn't crazy, isn't it? Anyway, so you've been fantastic. Chris Bowen, SVP of Sales at Hammerspace. Thank you so much. We have next week, episode 92, Kelly Wright, who is president of Gong. So that'll be definitely interesting for sure. So for those that are watching or eventually listening on the recording, thanks to Outreach as the sponsor of this and sponsor of Sales Community. For those that are not members of Sales Community, you can join salescommunity.com and you can find the summer free link. And for those that are, thank you very much. And Tim Honan, hopefully he's you want to look at your see if he said anything yet. So
yeah, let's see here. Let's see. Oh, I'm loading. Hold on.
Let's see, Tim.
Yeah. No, I don't see it yet. Tim.
Okay. He must have been in between. He must have been in between interviews or something.
Yes, so. Exactly. So I'll have to reach out to him.
There you go. And Tucker, we got working behind the scenes here. So as always, thanks, Tucker. So, all right, everybody, have a great rest of week, and